All right, man, peace. So, current NBA great and future Hall of Famer LeBron James is currently caught in the eye of the storm. He has championship aspirations, but he does not seem to have a championship team. So the media right now is currently grilling him in regards to whether or not they're waiting for Isaiah Thomas to save or redeem the fortunes of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Let's see what they have to say. Of course, I'm going to chime in.
I don't think we're, relying on the IT to come back. We want him to take his time, and when he feels that he's ready, then he's going to fit right in. But we can't rely on just one person. We can't rely on just one person anyway for us to be as good as we want to be. No matter if it's IT or myself or with Tristan being out, we have guys that have to step up.
And that's an embarrassing question. You're a 4-time MVP, and your team is so bad and playing so poorly that you have to answer questions in regards to whether or not you're waiting for a 5'9" point/shooting guard to come and return and save your season. That shit is an embarrassment.
So that was LeBron James before last night's loss to the Rockets, guys, that dropped the Cavs to 2-6 in their last 8 games. Stephen A., is LeBron right about them needing Isaiah Thomas?
Well, listen, they need Isaiah Thomas, so I'm not going to say he's right because they have to rely on the return of Isaiah Thomas.
Well, first off, if you listen to the commentary, he stated that they should not be waiting on Isaiah Thomas. So you seem to be constructing your commentary from a straw man argument that he said, yes, we're waiting on Isaiah Thomas. He stated that the team should not be concerned with the impact of any one player if they're going to have a championship mentality. That's basically what he said. But to me, once again, that question is an embarrassment to him, a guy who the modern day liberal sports media and many current NBA fans have stated is better than Michael Jordan. So I don't remember ever hearing Michael Jordan being asked if the Bulls are waiting for, B.J. Armstrong to come back from injury. I don't remember that.
There's no question about that. But what I don't like what I'm hearing from LeBron James is, once again, the narrative. I bring up the narrative issue. No excuses. I don't want to hear excuses. You got the oldest team in the league. This is the 6th year over the last 8 seasons that LeBron has been on one of the top 5 oldest teams in the NBA.
Well, we already know why that is. It's because he has immediate championship aspirations. And anybody who comes to play with LeBron has to be willing to play in the LeBron system. Most younger players are trying to really, cement their own legacy early on in their career, and they're not really ready to go to a system where they have to kowtow to another player until they're in their late 20s going into their early 30s. Most players in their early to mid 20s are trying to show the league how good they are. I've stated this already. Anybody who plays with LeBron has to play in the LeBron system. Doesn't matter who you are. Dwayne Wade, Kevin Love, Kyrie Irving, Chris Bosh, whoever. You must play in the LeBron system. LeBron cannot play in any other system other than a system that is completely centered around him. Okay? He has to have the role where he's everything to everybody. He won't know how to conduct himself if he actually has to play off the ball.
Why? Because when you're pursuing championships and you're the greatest player in the world and you say that you need help, they bring experience on your roster.
Ding.
Which compromises your youth, which elevates the urgency of titles. And there's nothing wrong with it because he's doing the right thing by playing it that way because that serves his purpose and to his advantage. But it doesn't escape the reality that nobody wants to hear these excuses. The fact of the matter...
Well, I disagree with that, Stephen. I think a lot of people like to hear excuses for LeBron James, especially in the liberal sports media, where once again the narrative has been that he's as good as or better than Michael Jordan. This is why he likes to make so many excuses for himself, because he's so used to people in the media making excuses for him, particularly recently. Now, let me say this also. LeBron James has also been he's also been the recipient of a lot of vitriol from the media, particularly when he left Cleveland the first time. So he's not somebody who has not been through the ringer. He definitely has. And the brother has come through it and emerged stronger because of it. But in this current media climate that we're in, particularly since he went back to Cleveland, they've treated him almost exclusively with kid gloves.
The matter is this. The Cleveland Cavaliers are the oldest team in the league. The average age is 30. They have lost to teams. They have given up 112 points or more in 10 consecutive games.
Well, look, it's already been established that Cleveland can't stop a nosebleed. We know that already. But that comes from LeBron. LeBron can't guard his lunch. And a lot of people are scared to say it. It's really only Skip Bayless who started saying it a couple of years ago, and now more and more people are starting to acknowledge it, that he's just not a good defensive player. He's a great help defender, especially around the basket, because he likes to get blocks, but he can't guard anybody one-on-one anymore. These guys are too quick for him. His feet are not quick enough to guard anybody one-on-one anymore. And most of the players today have a very, very pronounced and well-developed face-up game. Guys in today's NBA really don't post up very well, but their face-up game is probably better than it's ever been in NBA history. Everybody has trick dribble moves and, has a little floater or something like that. A lot of guys in the NBA back in the day didn't have that, but the post game back in the 90s was much better. All of your top players could post up. Today, all of your top players can shoot, can face up, and can take their man off the dribble. And in an era like this, LeBron has a hard time guarding his man because of that. His feet are just not quick enough anymore. And also, because of their coach, Ty Lue, they don't seem to understand that they have to create a system that is conducive to their personnel. They have to slow the ball down. They're trying to run with these young teams, and they can't do it. Everybody wants to play like the Warriors, and you have to have the personnel to do it. You have to change your style of play, slow the game down, and develop better half-court sets. But once again, the problem is LeBron James cannot play without the ball. So he needs to have the ball in his hands at all times. And LeBron wants to run because he wants to act like he's still 23.
They can't guard you, Max, right now. That's how bad they have been. They have given up those points to the Bulls, the Knicks, the Hawks, the Brooklyn Nets. They're not defending. They look like they're lollygagging around. They're playing with no sense of urgency. J.R. Smith, we're applauding now and having ready to damn near throw a parade because he's scoring in double figures a couple of games. And
Stephen A. continues his personal assault on J.R. Smith because he's mad that he got called out for being ignorant about his hoodie comments.
But he's still averaging 7 points or 34% shooting. The first 11 of the last 12 games, he shot 33%. These are not impressive numbers, and he's not the only one. You've got Dwayne Wade. You need more production from him, but he was willing to compromise himself from being in the starting lineup because of the sensitivity issues involving J.R. Smith.
Well, that's very true, and I already noted that. But I think that Dwayne Wade has come to understand that this is a sinking ship. And he doesn't really want to be blamed for his sinking. So he said, let me sit my ass down.
And as a result, that's compromised the team. And now you're talking about potentially adding a body to it once Isaiah Thomas comes back. And keep in mind that once Isaiah Thomas returns, you're talking about a team that's 9, 10, 11 deep, depending on what direction that Tyronn Lue wants to go in.
Hey, look, I said before the season that that homeboy that was on OKC in Boston was going to be a serious problem. I don't know why, but the brother's name is skipping my mind right now. The brother with the hops and the big hands. I'm trying to remember what the hell his damn name is. Jeff Green, that's his name. I told you, brothers, before the season that Jeff Green was going to be a major contributor. I mean, one can make the case that he's been their second best player in the first, 10, 11 games that they played.
Isaiah Thomas has averaged 30 minutes a game for his career. 3 times in 7 complete seasons, he's averaged better than 30 minutes, okay? He's looking for a new contract, which means he's going to want to play and needs to play in order to get his money. It's just a bad situation right now, and it seems to be getting worse, and LeBron James is pointing that out too early, which is giving the team excuses for doubts, but I'm not going to let them have any excuses.
I don't understand. What did LeBron James say in his statements that would even remotely imply that he's making any excuses in those statements? All he said was that the team should not be counting on one man. He actually said the opposite of what Stephen A. is trying to imply that he stated.
Because they got enough talent. I want any excuses.
I do agree that they have enough talent, but they just don't play the right style that's conducive to maximizing that talent. They have no shooting. They really need to muck up the game, but with the modern day NBA rules, they can't be as physical as they need to be in order to bring more talented teams down to a level playing field with them. When I say talented, I mean more athletic and younger teams. Because as far as name recognition, the Cavaliers, they probably have the most name recognition players on their roster than any other team in the NBA other than probably the Warriors.
Is LeBron right about Isaiah Thomas? No, LeBron is wrong. Of course they need to rely on Isaiah Thomas coming back. Of course he can't do it all by himself, but that's a straw man. That's like LeBron. A straw man is you set up an argument that's easy to overcome, right? No one's claiming, as LeBron knows, that one guy can do it all by himself. Not even LeBron James, who, by the way, statistically, in terms of the advanced stats, according to 538.com's podcast, the advanced stats, LeBron's having the best season of his career.
Yeah, but I'm pretty sure about that. But LeBron James is like a guy who's figured out how to get to the last level on a video game, by typing in a code. LeBron James is very, very aware of advanced metrics. That's how he plays. That's what he plays for. He understands that when people look back at his career, they're going to look at things like PER and shooting percentage, and they're going to use those things to grade against Michael Jordan. And, that's why he plays like that. Because he wants to make sure that he has a higher shooting percentage than Jordan and a higher true shooting percentage and things of that nature LeBron James is concerned with. Because he looks at Jordan's numbers and he says, these are the numbers that I have to be able to, to supersede in order to try to make a case that I'm better than him. Back when Jordan played, guys like him, they weren't even aware of those stats back then. Like they looked at points per game, rebounds per game, assists, steals, blocks, like they weren't looking at true shooting percentage and PER and things of that nature. They didn't even know what the hell those things were.
Defensively, Stephen, as we see with veteran teams, particularly with LeBron leading them in recent years, they don't start playing defense right away. They save their legs. They get that going as the season progresses. And by the way, they never quite get it going in recent years the way they did in previous years, teams that LeBron James was on. But
yeah, because he's not as good a defender. Once again, if you want to know how good a team's defense is, just look at their best defender. Most of the time, a great defensive team is going to take their impetus from their best defender. So even in the late 90s, when Jordan was 34 and 35, the Bulls took their impetus from him, as well as Scottie Pippen and Dennis Rodman. And everybody D'd their man up. When LeBron was a great defender back when he was in his mid-20s, that's when you saw his best defensive teams, particularly, those Miami teams the first couple years. But now that he's getting older, he just doesn't have the leg movement like he used to. Cleveland's never going to be a good defensive team. So people can stop worrying about that.
But no one's saying, LeBron, that Isaiah is going to do it all by himself. What everyone is saying who watches this stuff, what I am saying here, is that Isaiah is the thing that can put you over the top. Because the Cavs need another ball handler who can get to the paint, who can create, who can, when he gets to the paint, either finish or make a good decision with the ball. And
no, what they really need is a guy who can make an outside shot. And that's what Isaiah Thomas is going to bring. They already have enough penetrators. They need a guy who can make an outside shot.
And who can shoot. In short, who can do a lot of the same things Kyrie Irving could do offensively. And that is Isaiah Thomas. And if Isaiah doesn't get it together physically by the end of the season, with enough time to get his legs under him and play in the playoffs, the Cavs ain't going to do anything. And if he can, they will get out of the East. But let me tell you what LeBron is doing.
Let me say this. I did say before the season that I believe there's going to be Golden State and the Cavs in the finals. I'm going to stick with that until further notice. But from what I've seen from Cleveland, it wouldn't shock me if they don't make it to the finals. It really wouldn't shock me if they get ousted in the first round. It wouldn't shock me. I'm still going to stick with them because it's a long season. They are an older team. I believe that they're going to get better as the season goes along. They're going to get Isaiah Thomas back. They're going to get more into the flow of the season as it goes along. But it would not shock me to see them go out in any round of the playoffs.
LeBron knows he has to get everyone else going. Because other than LeBron James and Kyle Korver, no one else is producing on the team. So
that's not fair. Jeff Green has been producing. Jeff Green has been their second best player.
So when LeBron says we can't leave it up to Isaiah, the real message is to everyone else on the team. Huh?
Kevin Love's not producing? Kevin Love's not producing?
No, Kevin Love's not producing.
I think Kevin Love has had some pretty damn good. I think Kevin Love has had some pretty damn good games.
Well, I mean, Kevin Love's going to get you 14 and 12, 15 and 13 in his sleep. I think that what Max is talking about is, the overwhelming stats. But the third wheel on a quote-unquote super team is always going to be the guy who gets shitted on. Chris Bosh used to get shitted on. People used to say that he wasn't pulling his weight, particularly people who didn't understand what he did on the defensive end. I mean, Kevin Love is doing his job.
No, in fact, LeBron's playing out of his mind. Kyle Korver's playing well, and no one...
LeBron is playing extremely proficiently on the offensive end. When you also grade in his defense, I would say that he's playing great. All right? To very good to great. If we were just to talk about his offense, then he's playing spectacularly. But once you factor in the defense, then now you're taking it down a level or two. I would say he's playing in between good and great. I would say very good right now, overall.
No one else is playing well on the team. That's who LeBron's talking to. Hey, everybody else, except for me, can you guys get it together? Because if you think you're just going to wait for Isaiah to come back and Isaiah and me are going to do the whole thing, it ain't going to work that way.
You're giving LeBron a pass. He's either the leader or he's not. We know what he can do as a
Well, Stephen A., we already know that he's not a leader. I've stated for the longest time he's not a leader. He's a cheerleader. It's a big difference. He's a cheerleader. He's not a leader. That's why he creates all them stupid-ass handshakes and secret passwords and all that other stuff. All right, but he's not a leader. He's a cheerleader. And that's why Kyrie had to leave because, Kyrie, even though Kyrie has some bugged out philosophies that he adheres to, Kyrie's also, he's much more mature than LeBron is, that's for sure. And being almost 10 years younger, I'm sure that graded on Kyrie. Kyrie also comes out of a background and an atmosphere that was dominated by a man. LeBron was raised in an atmosphere that was dominated by a woman, a dysfunctional woman at that. So it really reflects and it resonates on their conduct.
As a talent, but he's either the leader or not. You got the oldest experienced squad in the NBA. They're old enough, they're experienced enough, they've been here, they've done that. Excuse me, this is on you. LeBron gets what he wants in Cleveland. You got what you wanted. All right, this is on you.
Agreed, totally agreed. You can see Stephen A. is hammering at LeBron. Why is that? Because LeBron will not give him exclusive interviews. Stephen A. let the cat out the bag when he did his little soliloquy on J.R. Smith. He's upset with a lot of these star NBA players because they will not give him sit-down interviews.
I don't want to hear any excuses. I don't want to hear the narrative. You got enough.
But, sometimes that's good because when these media people can't get the access that they want, then they start to tell the truth. And that's why Stephen A. is telling the truth about LeBron right now.
Yeah, he's doing what you're asking him to do. He's doing exactly what you're asking him to do.
Okay, then we'll see.
In shape.
Let's make sure of that. So in other words, if they don't get it done, Max, you're going to be sitting here and good. You know what you're going to be doing? You're going to say, well, LeBron did his job.
Of course. Once again, that's what LeBron plays for. He plays to put up good enough stats so that when his team loses, all of his fanboys, both on the internet and in real life and in the liberal sports media, can say, well, they lost. They lost 4-1, but LeBron averaged 34, 10, and 10. I mean, damn, what you want him to do? What else you want him to do? You want him to sell popcorn too? I already said this about LeBron, and I don't know how many times I have to reiterate it. LeBron is in my top 10 because of the overall impact that he has on a team. On any team that he goes to, he can turn you into a 50-win team. All right, and there's not many players that you can say that about. But when I think of LeBron, I don't think of him as being a combination of Magic and Michael. I don't see any part of Magic or Michael's game in LeBron at all. I think that's just really just an attempt by the media to try to apply certain characteristics from former greats who are extremely charismatic onto LeBron. When I see LeBron, I think of Scottie Pippen if Scottie Pippen had Karl Malone's body. And when I think of LeBron's legacy, I think of a combination of Jerry West, Wilt Chamberlain, and Shaquille O'Neal. A guy who was extremely dominant, put up huge numbers, but didn't win as many big ones as he should have won. And was quite frankly lucky to win a couple of the ones that he did win. That's what I think of when I think of LeBron. All-time great, no doubt about it. But, I mean, go ahead and look up some of Jerry West's numbers in the finals. I mean, Jerry West had finals where he averaged over 40 a game. All right? Still lost. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain, most dominant player of his era, maybe ever, was only able to win, 2 championships? So, to me, that's where I put LeBron. And Shaq, of course. Shaq won 4 championships, but, probably should have won more than that. And, was a fat bastard for most of his career. Let's be for real.
LeBron did his job. That's what you're going to say, right?
Did he not? Is he not doing his job?
I thought he had multiple jobs.
Thank you, sir. When you start discussing a player as being arguably the greatest player ever, he's held to a much higher standard. It's not just about him doing his job. It's about him doing multiple jobs. All right, to whom much is given, much is required. But as I've already stated, Max Kellerman is a liberal sports media fanboy for LeBron James. Just like, there's a lot of them. Max Kellerman, Nick Wright, Colin Cowherd. These are guys that will genuflect before LeBron.
I thought you said he had multiple
What
jobs.
I'm saying is, if Isaiah gets back as most of himself, the Cavs will get out of the East.
LeBron
and
is the greatest in the world. LeBron is the greatest in the world.
That's right.
But your apologies are disgusting. The fact of the matter is enough's enough. You're too many narratives. No.
You are conflating LeBron James, the player, with LeBron James, the GM.
I'm not criticizing.
No. What Stephen A. is basically, what he's basically stating is the same sentiment that I'm putting forth. To whom much is given, much is required. LeBron James is not playing with scrubs. He plays with enough talent that there should be no excuses for him when his team loses. Nobody wants to hear, I didn't have enough help, or this guy was hurt and that guy was hurt. All right, you have Derrick Rose, a former MVP, as your backup point guard. Make it work. The problem is that, once again, LeBron James has to be the hub of every network that's set up around him. He doesn't know how to play without the basketball. His ego is too big to even think about doing something like that, which is why he can never be on a team like a Golden State, because that's just not how his personality is built. He's like a oversized Russell Westbrook, who's much more proficient and intelligent on the court. He just doesn't know how to operate if he's not in full control. Part of it's the fact that the LeBron system is something that LeBron has been running since junior high school. And he's also an only child. So he's used to not really having to defer to somebody else.
Criticizing a player. I'm not. You don't know what you're talking about. I'm not criticizing
LeBron James.
I'm saying he's a leader. He's a leader. Well, listen. What's the why you got these problems? You got these problems because Kyrie left. Because Kyrie's balling. Because Kyrie didn't want to play with you. That's on him too.
Look at Max Kellerman's face. Max is still mad as hell at how Kyrie sunned him when he was on the show.
So you got these problems because Isaiah had a bad hip they didn't know about. That's why you got these problems. If Isaiah's hip was okay, the Cavs would be winning.
Really? So what are you saying about LeBron James then? LeBron James is the best player in the world and the team is 5-7, but if Isaiah Thomas was there, they'd be winning. So wouldn't that mean that Isaiah Thomas is the best player on the team, according to your logic or lack thereof? You see how they try to talk around a lot of this now? This is why I say, please, stop comparing LeBron James to Michael Jordan. Please stop doing it. In Michael Jordan's last year with the Bulls, Scottie Pippen missed, I can't remember how many games. And the reason why, and Scottie Pippen was hurt at the start of the 97-98 season. And when he became healthy, and the Bulls were struggling for a portion of that season because he was out and they had other injury issues. And also it was the third year of their second championship run. Jordan also had played the season with a broken index finger. And they were struggling for a lot of the season. And Pippen threatened to hold out because him and the Chicago Bulls management had always had issues with each other. What happened was that Jordan started to lead the team on a winning streak, and that's when Scottie Pippen stopped playing games in regards to his viability to play, because he was playing games before. He basically, when I say playing games, I'm not talking about basketball games. I'm talking about mind games with the Chicago front office and with the team in regards to his ability to play on the floor. So when Scottie saw that the team was losing without him, he tried to hold the Bulls' feet over the fire. And then when Jordan started to win without him, then all of a sudden he said, I better come back and play before my value goes down.
My ear's not okay right now, but that was entertaining, gentlemen. They have the Mavs coming up next. And also
that was a very entertaining conversation. Stephen A. spoke a lot of truth there, but he spoke a lot of truth because he's been rejected by LeBron. But anyway, we'll see what happens over the course of this NBA season. I think it's going to be a very good NBA regular season. I see a lot of young teams that are watchable. All right, Philadelphia is watchable. The LA Lakers are watchable. Even the Brooklyn Nets are watchable. There are a lot of young teams in the NBA right now that are watchable. So the NBA is in a very good place right now. But anyway, peace.